Hey guys, welcome back to the second podcast, number 002, where we are actually going to be continuing our discussion from the last episode, where it was just Nico and I discussing our thoughts and predicting what was going to happen with Godzilla vs. Kong. We're actually going to extend that now to more of our team here at Kenshin Studios. We have Sean here, we have Vinnie, and we have Kyle. And we are going to just be delving into our thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. So I guess to start out discussing this big movie, we're going to just quickly go over our initial thoughts one by one. So, Nico, if you want to start, just to give your quick thoughts.
So quick thoughts, real quick. I did rewatch the movie a couple times, so I have a better idea of what the goal was. Overall, as a movie, like if you take in the story, writing, and everything, I thought it was meh. You know, overall it's a meh movie, but what it's going for is like big testosterone boosting monster fights. I think it succeeds tremendously, and I think that's what it was going for. So if you look at the goals and what the movie was aiming for, it achieved them, and I can say it's a good movie. It's a good movie in terms of that.
All right, Sean, let's start. Let's go next with you.
I got up early to watch this, like 5 a.m. early, and I will say that if it weren't for HBO Max and having a fast forward feature in my Roku remote, I would not have gotten through that movie.
Damn. All right.
Jesus.
It was written worse than King of the Monsters, but it was easier to digest, I think, than King of the Monsters. Like, it was more enjoyable to sit through than King of the Monsters, despite it actually being the writing being even more poor this time. So that's the sum it up. If I give any more, I'll just go on forever about God. This is the worst piece of shit movie.
All right, Vinny, you're up next.
I liked it overall. I mean, there's not the soundtrack, but I'll delve into that later. Yeah, it reminded me like basically like a classic Godzilla movie, not Heisei, but like a Showa-esque vibe. I got like that's what I got from it. Like, I mean, sure, the writing was up to par this time, but I mean, the action was awesome. I can't not enjoy that. So that's pretty much what I delve into or like look into for a Godzilla flick. It's just as long as it's good action and it's a somewhat decent story, that's good for me.
All right, Kyle, what do you think?
So I feel like this movie knows exactly what it wants to be. It knows why you came there. You came to see Godzilla and Kong fight, and as just that, it exceeded my expectations a lot. The action is awesome, and the CGI and the effects and all that they're really amazing. It's amazing how far we've come. God, I can't talk today. In terms of the VFX of the movie, but in terms of a movie with writing and characters, I'd say it's pretty meh. Like the writing is pretty poor. Characters aren't really that good. They're pretty much there to just get us from point A to point B and so forth and so on. But as an action flick, I found myself really just enjoying it overall.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I went on record saying that I think it's the best out of the Monsterverse, solely on the reason that I think it is exactly that, a big monster summer blockbuster flick. You got to go into the film, and Nico and I talked about this last time, you got to turn your brain off. Don't go into it thinking that it's going to be like the next, like the next 54, the next Shin Godzilla, or something that's going to make you think, because it's definitely not. But there was just the one thing that the whole time this development of this movie that I always stated, I was like, I am going to dock it instantly if they do this. And of course they did it. And, obviously we'll delve into it later, but there are, overall, I think it's good. The characters, I think, did their part. There weren't any characters that I think were, like super I don't know, well, like interesting to watch, but I think they played their part because then it led to the monster action, which was the main point. But what are you laughing at, Nico?
Your cat in the background's like
Oh
crawling
yeah,
into
I
something.
know. Yep, there's my
Yeah.
cat. Yeah. There, yeah.
Just
Not to
over
go off
there.
topic.
Yeah. See, well, if it's not the dogs, it's the cat. So, no, overall though, I think it's a great film. There's only two things about it that really bother the heck out of me. So, yeah. So yeah, with that said, so we have our initial thoughts. We kind of have that there for our viewers. So I think we'll delve a little bit more into let's talk about. I guess we'll talk about the story first, and kind of delve into that, and then we'll kind of go by category. So like story, characters, the monster action, soundtrack, and things like that. And then maybe later we'll talk about the future of the Monsterverse, what we think is going to happen after this. And then we'll talk about like some more deep like spoiler territory. By the way, this is going to be a huge spoiler video, so if you have not seen the film, I recommend you not watch this right now until you've seen it. So yeah, so story wise, I mean, we kind of all of us kind of talked on it like real quick, but I in terms of story, obviously I think it's the most batshit insane one out of all of them, just because of the idea of like, once again, you see a giant lizard fighting a giant ape. It's just like, as soon as you hear that, you're like, yeah, okay, what can they do in this film that's going to make it grounded? Like nothing at all. I mean, from going from 2014 to this, it's quite a tonal shift in that term. So what are you guys' thoughts on like story wise and just how this film played out?
I have a lot of issues with. First of all, just on a basic level, it's bad.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that even makes sense. It doesn't even feel like it belongs in the universe we've seen. It feels so far detached from it. So the story, basic level, it's pretty bad. On a technical level, a lot of issues. A few things that bug me that nobody else was really pointing out. Well, there were some people, but Danielle actually was someone else who pointed this out for me. She mentioned how they basically just axed the whole the tribe on the island, and they're just gone now because of a off-screen flood, or something like that. It was a storm or a flood.
They said like there's a storm or something, and like the book, the novel, it's like Ghidorah's storm.
And I thought to myself, like, man, that's just like bad handling of characters. I mean, not just because even if you're trying to like condense the movie to just the important stuff, like, what would have been a better opening scene than Kong waking up and scratching his ass and walking down in the sunlight? What would have been a better opening scene? Seeing Kong save Gia from whatever storm there is and stuff like that, and seeing how they met. Like
like bonds more.
It would have been a very easy scene to introduce Kong and show why they have a relationship without trying to like force a story that they know the audience doesn't want to, get into. It's so many things. They've clearly never heard they've never heard of how to use like a red pen and just go over a script and just fix the easy things. Like you ever like have a word search and they're the ones that stand out right away, but then you think, oh, I'll get those last, and then you never do. That's them. That's them here. They have that. That's always been the problem with the Monsterverse.
I'll agree, because there were, in terms of like off-screen things happening, I remember it happened so quick, but like in the intro sequence with all the credits and whatever, they literally went over the idea that all the Titans were killed off by Godzilla, right? Wasn't that also one of the things that off-screen he takes out every one of them? Rodan, dead. All the other guys dead.
To be fair, they said defeated, not dead. So I want to hope that.
I read on a post that in the book version, they're not actually dead.
Oh, screw the book. I didn't read the book, so it doesn't matter.
I want to say Godzilla put him in their place.
The book is like, why do I have to read a book to know the?
That's what bothers me. I don't have to. I shouldn't have to do extra homework to understand what's happening.
This isn't Harry Potter. I don't need to read a book.
I don't want to read a book to know the canon of the film.
Manga. This is not manga. The manga doesn't come out before the.
It's weird.
This isn't anime. No, you don't need to do that.
It's so weird.
I just It
They
was
just
just
say like
I'd
defeat
rather-
is gone.
It's like it's a fanfic at that point. It's like, oh, here's what happened to all the monsters and stuff. No, it needs to be in the movie. We don't need like, oh, here's a more detailed version. Go buy the book. No,
Yeah.
that isn't how it's supposed to work.
I said it on
Like
Twitter.
it's
I
like
said it.
they're trying to
Okay.
say to your face, "Lol, buy our books, buy our other products."
to get more. Yeah.
No, I said it on Twitter, but I said that Godzilla versus Kong really is just Wrath of the Hybrid, though.
I
And I
want to
say
know
that-
why you said that.
because it. I mean, granted, you know there are a billion different. There's a big difference between those two movies, and that's the production.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I see them two is as similar as at least me as an animator, I realized that while working on it, human stuff wasn't my strong suit, you know?
Right.
So I focused on putting all of my effort into the monster scenes. And, you know, despite how ridiculous and you know, almost like, you know, I love the Kenshin trilogy, don't get me wrong, but the human scenes, I feel like if I wish were better fleshed out, and you know, I criticize myself for not doing the whole, you know, why didn't I go over that with a red pen kind of thing, you know, and then, but I know that at a certain point during the production, I just said I'm just gonna focus on what I can do best, and that's give a good spectacle.
Right.
That's what I feel like I saw while watching that. I got the feeling like, okay, these are people who know they can't do something like human scenes well. So they're just they're like, all right, we're just going to focus on the things we can do, which is, you know, spend endless amounts of money on CGI.
Right.
And that's what ended up happening. So also, like, the balls to the wall action is kind of similar. I mean, like not the events that happen, but like when I think of like crazy shit happening in a fan film, I think of Wrath of the Hybrid, and then I never thought I'd ever see that in a movie, and think and like unironically,
We
you
started
know?
it. You're welcome,
So-
Godzilla versus Kong. No,
So like, even if you don't like the movie, you can see that as a jab. If you like the movie, you
Yeah.
can see that as a compliment. I'm just saying, like, as someone who works on something for fans, I feel like that's what I saw while watching it. But
It
it's also a
feels like-
critique.
yeah.
Story wise, they were all in a room, a writer's room, and they sat down on the basic premise of Godzilla fighting Kong, and one of them just said, I mean, it's a giant lizard fighting a giant ape. Do we really have to put effort into the human story? No, of
Right.
course we don't. No, of course we don't. We'll make. I mean, they're gonna see it anyway. We'll make cash anyway.
So what I think they did, what I think happened was they did just enough for it to pass by as okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Not by okay as they were like, oh, not just like, oh, it's okay. Like no, but it's passable.
Yeah.
As that it's a story it's just going to work at the bare minimum. I think that's what happened. They knew King of the Monsters had its incredible downfalls, and then like before that you had Skull Island, which was pretty decent. It is my favorite. It is my favorite.
In terms of human characters, yes, I do think Skull Island takes that.
Skull Island, yes, by far. How the hell you're supposed to mash that up together? You really can't.
You'd have to make a 3-hour movie. You'd have to extend the length of the movie.
Yeah,
You can't.
But you can't. No, they went for a passable thing, and they know. Okay, we know that people are going to come see the action. Let's make something passable so we can get on to the action.
And I have a thought for when we get to like the characters, like when we talk about each character, which by the way is I don't even remember any of their names, but we'll say like, oh, the girl, and then the blonde guy, and then the whatever. But the one thing though that I want to touch upon too was the idea that the thing I've had a problem with this trilogy, even with, only with King of the Monsters and this one really, was the fact that they don't like to mention, like they do mention some things that happened in the previous films, but at the same time they also forget very important things. The first thing I was a little bit blown away by is, okay, I mean, once again, we'll talk about it more in depth, but I wanted to bring the idea up, is Serizawa's son pops out of nowhere. Hi, hello. And then where is Ford? I know that technically no one liked him in 2014, and I get that. But there's like he was the main character of that film, and I feel like he should have at least had some kind of cameo or mention or something, but it's like the studios just hated him, so they just completely denied.
Or at least his dad, who discovered echolocation.
Right, or something. Yeah, so there's no mention
Joe
of
or something.
Yeah, there's no mention of that. That's a little like annoying with that idea. And then obviously the introduction of Mechagodzilla, which is another thing that I have an issue with. But Vinny, what you've been kind of quiet. What's the what are your thoughts on the story wise in terms of that?
I don't. I mean, I don't know how to put it. I mean, it was. Oh my god, I'm blank. I'm really blank right now. I can't think. Like, I mean, yeah.
Your silence is speaking.
Your silence
volumes.
speaks actually a lot. Yeah, that actually does. That actually does a lot. Yeah.
I mean, if it was about the soundtrack or the characters, that'd be good.
Okay.
But the story,
otherwise, it seems like
I like it.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
I think
yeah.
I think overall is the idea of the story with this film is it's not. Once again, I went into this film knowing that it was not going to be a character-driven story. Like it's a crossover film. It's about the two franchises coming together. Like that's the point. And I think that's where this film succeeds tremendously, was the battles between them, because I was worried about the whole Batman versus Superman comparison where you're only going to have them fight for like maybe 10 minutes out of a 3-hour film or whatever, and then the other thing happens, but we'll talk about that later. In terms of the characters with this film, it doesn't hold a candle to Skull Island. I think we can all agree that Skull Island had the best cast of human characters. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And it sucks because since that was like a prequel and it took place in the 70s, that all those characters are not going to be in this, of course, because they're either really old or they've passed away or whatever. So, that's one of the things. But in terms of, I think with King of the Monsters, though, the only characters I really liked were the actual main characters, the dad, the daughter, even the bad guy, which, that was another thing. He didn't get mentioned. That was another thing. He literally gave them this new, by the way, is this new organization that also popped up out of nowhere. He gave them King Ghidorah's skull, which I'm happy they did something with that end credit scene, but
no mention of Charles
No
Dance.
mention of him.
No mention at all. It's just like they have it now and they're using it.
It's like, where is he? Like, what? He just took the money and just was like, all right, I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm just going to vacation.
Did he just give it away and just said, all right, well.
I'm just sure he didn't want to be in that movie.
Maybe, I don't know.
I just want to stay clear after the.
Yeah. Once again, even if you can't get the actor, at least mention him in the script. Just say like a sentence, just like, this.
Say like Alan Jonah.
Yeah, Alan Jonah gave us this King Ghidorah thing, and now we've used it to whatever for Mechagodzilla, and
like you got this whole new thing popping up, like you said, just out of straight nowhere. Yeah. And then you got Ren Serizawa, who just again popped out of nowhere with. In the previous two Godzilla movies, we didn't get a single mention of his son from Serizawa, and now he just has a son.
And that was another thing.
Guys.
Yeah, I when I first saw Serizawa's son on screen, like he looked cool, like he was like this badass guy working for the bad guys, and I knew right away this company. I was like, oh, these are the guys who have Mechagodzilla. Like in the first 5 seconds of meeting this organization, I was like, oh, that's where they're going with this. Like those are the guys who have it. And the cliche business bad guy, he's in the suit and he's like, oh, we're doing this for the goodness of it. I'm like, we've seen those characters plenty of time before in Godzilla films. But when I saw Serizawa's son's character, I was like, oh, maybe he has like some cool maybe he has like his own agenda or something. Maybe he's gonna use Mechagodzilla against them or something. Because you'd think that he would have some kind of like vendetta against Godzilla because his dad was either so obsessed with him and his dad died because of him. Like there was so much possibility with this character, but
I always thought that as soon as I saw him, I thought there was going to be this whole arc where he was going to get just really angry at his father not seeing him because of Godzilla, and that would be his motivation to just kill Godzilla.
To pilot Mechagodzilla,
He just like nope. There's no mention of anything.
He did enjoy killing that skull crawler pretty good. He smiled and everything. I haven't actually have this little theory for him too.
Yeah.
I like that, the skull crawler. I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's
Doesn't
what's
like-
the theory, Vinny?
So, I mean, since there's not really any backstory to him, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I want to say that Ren Sarazawa made the oxygen destroyer in King of the Monsters, since he hates
That'd be
Titan so much.
semi-interesting. Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing really confirming it, but it'd be
guarantee-
nice to have a Sarazawa make that oxygen
Again, if we
destroyer.
just saw him in his office, like, and in the background, we saw like design or blueprints of the oxygen
Something.
destroyer. That'd do
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah.
I find it
Like-
really irritating, Ren 2, because once again they just shove his motivation in the book version. Why do I have
I was gonna
to read
say
a book?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate how they cut it out of the movie.
Apparently it's like he sees Godzilla as a brother because his dad is Serizawa, and Serizawa saw Godzilla all the time. So he's like, they can't hurt you or kill you, but I can. It's like,
Okay,
where was
maybe that's a good thing they cut that out of the film because that's really weird.
Yeah, it's weird,
Wow.
but like I would have at least liked to see a shot of him just like resenting his father a bit, even if
Yeah.
it's just like a throwaway line.
Oh,
Would have been
also,
much appreciated.
I guess the other thing we have to mention is how many times have we seen the film? By the way, I've only seen it once.
Like 5. I watched it
Oh,
like
Okay, I've seen it 3 times all the way through. I've gone back and skimmed it just because I can watch it on HBO Max. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I
easily.
watched it the first time in theaters, and I watched it like 4 more times on HBO Max just so I can
Okay.
like jot down notes and see if I missed anything. Because the theater experience kind of just like blinds you at first from any
Right.
flaw
Yeah.
you have. So rewatching it gets you more time to see. Because then if you're watching it on HBO, you can just like pause at any time,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
jot down
Right.
notes. So that
And then-
definitely helps.
And then Nico, you've seen it 3 times?
Yeah, I've seen it 3
3?
times.
Okay, Vinny, what about you?
Same 3 times, all in
Three-
theaters.
three
IMAX
times.
was the best.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen it once. I've been wanting to. The thing was, is I didn't know that HBO Max, because I thought they had like a free trial thing, because I'm not paying for HBO Max. I don't know
You would think.
So I go on HBO Max after I've seen it in theaters like the day after or whatever, because I'm like, yeah, I want to watch it again. And then all of a sudden I see there's no free trial. I'm like, screw that. I'm not going to pay to just watch one movie on a service like that. So I have only saw it once. So I'm kind of running off of the first blind initial like reaction and the theater spectacle and all that. But you know, as time has set in, like I have, you know, thought of some other things, but it's not as bad as 2014 was. I remember first time seeing 2014, I was like 100%, 10 out of 10, blah, blah, blah. And then as time went on, I was like, oh, I'm not really a fan of this as it goes. But this one, I'm still, there were those plot issues still, but I still think it's the most entertaining film out of this whole Monsterverse series so far. But in terms of the, so we talked a little about the bad guy, you know, Ren Serizawa and, you know, the organization that just pops up out of nowhere, which I always wondered is like, you'd think that Monarch maybe would have their eyes on them or something, like monitoring them, or I don't know, or maybe they were having some kind of cover up, or what was their whole agenda again? Like they had like energy for
well, wait, Apex's agenda?
Apex.
We don't even know because they kill him mid motivational speech. And
Oh, that's right.
He just wanted to kill the kaiju and make humans
Yeah,
dominant.
yeah,
again.
but that's not a
They
real
want
reason.
Mechagodzilla
Okay.
to be
I know.
They want humans to be the alpha.
The alpha,
So
okay,
That's why.
yeah.
The apex predator or
Yeah.
something.
Jeez, yeah.
So
Okay, hot take here real quick. I know we're talking about Ren Serizawa, like, oh, why they cut him out and they didn't mention him. I'll be real, I don't think I'd be satisfied even if they did keep that stuff in. I think if I saw Ren Serizawa, Dr. Serizawa's son, piloting a Mecha Godzilla, like through telekinesis,
yeah, it's
like
like
just
mine.
this Monsterverse is so botched in terms of any kind of real character development.
Oh,
In terms
yeah.
of any kind of real character development, that they can't, no matter how many times they try, they're never going to be able to shoe in a new backstory or a new character that we're immediately going to like sit there and be like, you know, this is completely different than the last insert family we had last. Legendary's got a thing for families with like death in families and centering it around that. And for some reason that's supposed to, you know, keep the movie going. But honestly, so there's no, I think Ren Serizawa not being in it sucks, but him being in it too would probably be a really crappy movie still, and it would, a lot of it would have to be doing with him being the problem.
Right.
So I think if if what they were going for was a monster, just 20 minutes of monster action, put that up on HBO Max. People will pay to see that. You don't think people will pay like $5 or $10 to go sit and watch 20 minutes of a monkey and a lizard beating the shit out of each other? People will do that, but people aren't going to pay $15 so they can sit there and pull their hair out because they're forced to give a shit about what Kyle Chandler and his wife are up to. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
okay, that's my
Yeah, and speaking of Kyle Chandler, that's the dad character, correct?
He's barely in
from the
this.
Yeah, he was barely in it. He just that was an easy paycheck for
Yeah.
him. My God, I
Yeah.
mean, he just shows up and
Most. There's like one
Yeah.
line about him. He tells the daughter he wants her in school or something to be safe, and he says like creatures like humans can change. And then there's another shot where it's like one god's name is that thing, and like
yeah.
it's like 3 lines.
It's
They're
so he
so
was
bad.
underutilized, which he was one of no, actually now that I think about it, he was my favorite character in King of the Monsters. I don't know why, I just think I liked him the way that he was just so straightforward with the
had so
military.
much going
Yeah.
for him.
He didn't
So-
have he had like a non BS attitude towards things. The
Yeah.
military was off doing whatever. There's like the scientists in King of the Monsters. I could not stand those comedy relief people. I was so annoyed with like the guy who was like, oh my God, Zilla and all that, and I was like,
Oh, God,
really,
get that
like
drunk.
really, like you guys are scientists. Act like it. Stop acting like these comedy
Stop-
relief characters.
Stop
and-
throwing one-liners.
yeah, there was a lot of one-liners, and I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to capture the essence of the Marvel movies with the witty quirks
Well,
and
that
the
and
one-liners
how
and things. Yeah. So
I feel like they were trying to go for the show era too, which is like overall just goofy and more quote unquote funny, but they just ended up like butchering it because 2014 was all about keeping Godzilla grounded in this realistic world.
mhm.
But then King of the Monsters, you have this one guy going, "My God, Zilla."
Yeah. Well, like I said, from 2014 to now, it's a complete tonal shift. I mean, I remember when
Worlds.
yeah, like I remember when it came to the old, like when the promotional material for 2014 and Gareth Edwards was talking about how they wanted to make a very as realistic as they could grounded Godzilla film, and now it just seems like they're trying to cash in on. I mean, I get it. I mean, it is monster movies, but it does seem like, even though I have my problems with 2014, it does seem like at least they tried to elevate the genre in a way to make it a little bit more serious. But now it's like we're back to just kind of the campy, you turn your
Yeah,
brain
definitely.
off kind of movies, and that it does suck. I mean, obviously there's a part of me, and I probably a lot of you guys agree that there's like, we love the monster action, it's all the spectacle, but then there also is that other part where it's like, I want another Shin Godzilla, or I want another 54 that makes me think, or that makes me like take a breath for a second and try to do something different with the genre, but I think after this movie, I don't think we're gonna really get that unless Toho does something with this anime, which I don't think that's gonna happen because it's an anime. But so with the characters out of the way, I think probably you guys who are watching, you're probably thinking that we hate the film, but I know. Well, okay, Sean over here though, I think he does hate the film all the way, but I don't want to go with the idea that most of us hate it, but because beside the character and plot elements of it, the rest of it, in my opinion, is like really good, like fun to watch. Once again, turn your brain off and it's great. But I think we'll talk about the monster action now. Let's talk about Godzilla. Let's talk about Kong. We'll actually get to the meat of this point. So what did we think about? Let's talk about Kong first. What did we all think about Kong's character in this and how they dealt with him? So let's start with Nico.
Kong. What do I think about Kong? I mean, his character, you see a little bit of development, just throughout the film, being able to communicate. There's a huge leap between Kong Skull Island and this movie, obviously, because it's like a 40-year time skip.
Oh yeah.
So there's such a huge time skip between that, and then but yeah, Kong. I mean, I'm indifferent about him. Not much has changed since then. He still is. I never felt like any emotion towards his character. It'd be like, oh, I feel bad for him. Nothing ever clicked. It's just, it is what it is.
Okay. All right, Sean, what do you think about Kong?
So Kong, he was the most enjoyable part of the movie. He was yeah, that's really it. I didn't really, I don't have anything else to say about him. He was cool, fighting. That was it.
All right. Okay. Vinny?
Yeah, Kong's. I like how they basically made him a main character. That's like one of the major things I liked about this movie. They actually made a kaiju like the star of the film,
Right. Yeah.
kind of like Skull Island did, but along the same lines.
More. Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool. Kyle?
it was
I felt Kong was enjoyable. He got like a bit of development, but he was just really he was fun. He had his expressions, his emotions, and all that, but
Mhm.
there's not much I can really say on him. He's generally enjoyable. He's
Yeah.
fun.
I would say that he definitely this was more of his film, and I knew they were going to do that. Yeah,
More of a
that's
film.
usually what they do with these film, like with Kong. For some reason, he always they always have more focus on him. I don't know if it's just because he's more relatable of a character in terms of like monster wise, where Godzilla's less has like
Yeah.
less
Human, so he's
yeah,
more.
like human aspect to him. He's
Yeah.
more alien, I guess, in terms of that. But
And I felt like since we already had two Godzilla movies, they felt like it was more so his time to shine.
I heard that too. They were saying that because Godzilla has had two films prior and Kong only had one, they kind of had to make this more of his film too because they needed to kind of equal out the amount of like screen
it
time,
was
whatever.
more of
Which is fine to me. I feel like I would have. I don't know. I would like to
maybe
see
more
Godzilla have more
screen
like
time
parts in
from-
it. Yeah.
Godzilla, yeah. This was definitely more so Kong versus Godzilla, with Godzilla kind of being the I don't know what you would call him, guest star of sorts, like the
Right.
He's a side
it's
character.
Kong featuring Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's just a lot more that they delve into, like Kong's backstory with his parents, and then the going on the island with the whole axes and the ring that he ignites, and it's like but it turns into like a Godzilla looking like
Yeah.
look like a snake or something, which is interesting. And I would love to see like I want to see that part. Like, what was this history that apparently Godzilla and Kong had in their ancestors? Apparently, there was like this war or something. Like a bunch of Godzillas and a bunch of Kongs fought each other. Like, what happened here? Like, I don't know. So, but yeah. So then with obviously next to Kong we have Godzilla. So we'll just go back around with who we what we thought about Godzilla. So Nico, we'll start with you again. What did you think?
Godzilla, all bias set aside, obviously. I don't want to include bias in this. I mean, it's a shame he didn't get much more screen time. It is such a shame. I think he's a cool character. Like, oh, where's he going? He's there. Why is he attacking all these places? I mean, obviously we know why, but
Yeah.
I wish they followed him a little more. He's just kind of like there. They portrayed him as the antagonist. The main antagonist, which
I loved.
I liked. It's they needed that. Even though he actually isn't bad, but like that's the way they portray him, sort of. And I enjoy that aspect of him. Well, I'm sure we'll get to the main battles, but aside from that, it's a shame that they didn't really do much with him outside of the main final battle and the first encounter. It's another thing. Like, he's just there, and I didn't like that.
Yeah. Sean.
You thought Godzilla was a side character in 2014?
Yeah.
Godzilla has he has zero presence in this movie. He feels like such watching Godzilla and Kong fight made me feel like I was just watching Kong fighting a throwaway V-Rex from the 2006 3 movie or whatever.
Peter Jackson.
Like that's how I'd equivalent Godzilla in this movie. He just feels like a throwaway V-Rex or something like that. And yeah.
Damn. All right. Vinny.
for Godzilla.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Godzilla? How they portrayed him?
Oh, I liked how he was a lot more physical. I mean, well, actually, they kind of balanced it out because at first he did the Kawakita beam spam basically in the city, it was almost like Shin Godzilla a little bit, the way Kong was avoiding it, and it was a similar fashion. And I like is he was a dick. Like
Yeah.
it straight up with that smile. Yeah, he wanted
Yeah.
to. He didn't want to kill Kong right away. He wanted to torture the hell out of him with that smile.
Yeah.
Can't. So if they make another film, there's no way in hell they can portray him as a hero or something. It's got to be like something like they're going to want to try to kill him, or he's going to be some kind of anti-hero or something,
Mhm.
or bring himself back.
Which is what I think Godzilla's
But-
supposed to be, is an anti-hero.
But I did, yeah, something like that. But yeah, I do like he always a lot more physical. He was a lot more vicious in this film, like tooth and nail, like literally tooth and nail,
yeah,
like just.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
There's a specific sequence where Godzilla just goes on all fours, if I recall correctly,
Yeah.
and he just
Mhm.
crawling across the ground, and Kong just kicks him. Godzilla just jumps on him, starts scratching his chest out. That was brutal.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
So
the-
we'll-
Full on
Yeah, the moment,
fucking-
like the moment, when Kong dislocated his arm, and it's just you hear these
that-
footsteps, and they're just running really fast. That was a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
I said that in the theater because like, the
Drops
next
out
shot
there.
is like, oh.
yeah.
Like, but yeah, that was great. I like that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Godzilla
Right.
just vicious overall. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He just wanted to just toy with Kong by the Hong Kong fight with that smile.
Mm-hmm.
I was having some real fun with it.
It was nice to actually see Godzilla feel like he's having to resort to, like he's at his wit's end.
Other
you know,
tactics, yeah.
You know, it's like
I wish
he seemed desperate. You know.
Yeah, he
I
did.
feel like his atomic breath was like a slight bit kind of spammed, like a
Mm.
slight bit. Definitely a few sequences where he could have gone more physical, but he just kind of just does the atomic breath.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I feel like he was just really physical, just really into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Just like an overall another side. Oh no, that could be later. Go
Later?
ahead, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love Godzilla 100% in this one. I think he's the best Godzilla in this trilogy. I've always had a problem with him, like this legendary version of Godzilla, because I always I don't have a huge issue with him being like the balance of nature and all that stuff, but I just, to me, Godzilla's supposed to be the anti-hero, or he's supposed to be like a metaphor of like humankind and their folly and blah blah blah. And with 2014 and King of the Monsters, they played it up so much as him being the hero, and I didn't really gel with it. Like I was like, all right, fine, it's just another, they're doing it like the Showa films where Godzilla's this hero to all humankind and all that stuff. But with this one, like especially with the trailers, I was super stoked that Godzilla was like destroying military and like going through the cities, destroying everything. Until we obviously find out why he was like that and he wasn't actually a bad guy. But I love the way they portrayed him, and yeah, very physical, like we were talking about. I think this is the most physical he's been because he had to be. I mean, I was wondering how they were gonna have him fight a character like this, because I was like King Ghidorah and Mothra and Rodan, you can do beam spamming, and you can do like, you know, more of the I guess distance kind of fighting and some bit of physical, obviously with King Ghidorah, but not to this extent, because you know obviously Kong is just jumping all over him and you know clobbering him. So yeah, I think Godzilla was done justice in this one, even though he was kind of a side character. Like I really wish he had more time, but because
The way I just
Oh, yeah.
want to say this real quick.
yeah.
The way I describe the fights in this movie, it felt like if Verano animated.
Oh
Kaiju movie.
yeah,
It feels like
yeah, it has that style to it. You're right.
Ghidorah, and Zilla.
Especially
Yeah.
when Godzilla smiles, that felt right out of a Rhino animation.
Yeah, it
The
did. It
expression.
did. They took inspiration from him. Yeah,
I
so-
watched his videos and like, we gotta have this.
not to
Yeah.
bash Verano. I'm
No,
just
that's-
saying
that's a-
that was
Oh, no,
it was
a real
means
good-
it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, like he's on quality of a Hollywood movie. Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah. So
But there's the entire opening fight between Godzilla and the helicopter. He's just taking them down. He's shooting at stuff. It's what I wanted from the Monsterverse
Yeah.
Godzilla,
Yes.
to be this more
Yes.
bad
and
guy.
you know, let's talk about, you know, we'll talk about that first fight with the the helicarriers or the just the
It was like
ship carriers, whatever.
helicopters.
It's an aircraft carrier.
Aircraft carrier,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that whole scene, I thought that whole sequence was just phenomenal. I think
That was
like
beautiful.
the whole part of that was just so like I actually felt tension, like when Godzilla was swimming up and Kong was just waiting for him. Like there was actually like a part of me that was like, ooh, ooh, like, ooh, you know. So I think well done with the action on that part. I mean, what do you guys think about that whole sequence, that whole fight scene?
That being in the daytime, that's what
Yeah,
I've
daytime
always
battle.
wanted.
Everyone wants a daytime battle.
Aren't obscured by like particle effects. I finally got it, and I loved it. When Godzilla comes up and he said he's like crawling up on the ship and all that, I was like, oh god, how is this gonna end?
Yeah.
And I believe it goes, yeah. So Godzilla crawls up, Kong punches him, Godzilla just slaps him, and he goes down. Charges the breath, the helicopters and all that start shooting at him. He takes him down. Kong just punches him right in the face and just shoulder tackles him down.
Yeah.
My favorite part was where Godzilla gets tackled down into the ocean and he begins charting up his breath, and you can see on Kong's face, he's like,
He's
oh
like,
shit,
uh-oh.
what is and then he shoots the breath and Kong's like, I gotta get out of here, and he just
Yeah.
jumps off the ship.
Definitely,
That
it was a
was
money
hilarious.
shot. Definitely for trailer footage, you know,
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was the trailer shot.
Yeah. But Nico, what do you think of the whole sequence?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a nice introduction, for sure. There goes my camera again, not focusing, but we'll get back to that different time. There he is. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first encounter. You know, it showed off like the bound. You know, it showed off like Godzilla has the upper hand, obviously, in this environment. It
Yeah.
showed who was gonna do what and what their skills and traits are. It was a way for each to figure each other out. I enjoyed it. You know, that's almost that's what I have to say. You know,
John?
nothing crazy.
I don't know. I enjoyed it the least, but I think it was actually the better part of like the least stupid part of the film because I don't know, like they were moving fast, but they weren't like, you know, doing Smash Bros level moves on each other, that kind of speed like they were in Hong Kong. So as a part of the film, I think it ranks like objectively it ranks higher, but as my own personal enjoyment, I didn't like it specifically because of the soundtrack that was in the background. It just pulled me right out.
Yeah,
I know
I
we'll
can
get
see
to that. I know
Vinnie-
we'll get to that later. But like,
Vinny has a lot to say about the soundtrack.
I'm not trying to bring too much focus onto that
Say it.
right now
Yeah.
because I know we want to talk about that later. But that was the big thing for me with that scene is it just couldn't get past it.
Mhm.
Yeah. The only thing that like pulled me out of it was the fact that they were both standing on an aircraft carrier, and I don't know if it was sinking, was it? Or was
No.
it just like holding
No,
up?
complete
yeah.
physics are out the window with that part. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it-
No.
It's thrown out, yeah.
That's one of those turn your brain off moments.
I was in a watch party with my friends.
I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, they're fine on a ship.
I was
Who
in a
cares?
I was in a watch party with friends, and we were watching it. And when that part came up, like 3 of my friends messaged me and said, "That's not how boats work." When it started,
That's not-
Physics
yeah,
work.
yeah. So, Vinny, what do you think of the fight scene?
I liked it. They basically made Godzilla the shark from Jaws in that scene.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like to me. Especially, and I'm pretty sure that's an Easter egg when the ship got caught on his tail and it went underneath the water, like the barrels in the original.
Right.
That was awesome. It was a nice throwback. I enjoyed it like very much because like the scene. My favorite scene is probably when Godzilla comes out of the water and all you see behind him is all the wreckage he caused, and
Yeah.
the fire, and it's just like, and you can see the intensity in his eyes, like he wants to kill him so much.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, that was my favorite shot in that part of the scene.
And actually,
good.
but real quick before we get to the other, like the final battle in Hong Kong, I think I want to hear your thoughts, Vinny, on the soundtrack because you're like bursting at the seams to want to talk about that. So what did you think of the soundtrack? I will be honest. There's like a couple of
themes in that movie that I do like. The theme for Mechagodzilla, the build up, like when he's first introduced, like when the Skullcrawler, that was probably my favorite scene. The music did fit that part. And then there's the flute solo was pretty good between Gia and Kong. I like that little solo. Or whatever you call it. And Kong's theme is pretty nice too. But when I mean, the physical soundtrack I bought, it had cracks in it, so I had to send it back. But I downloaded it digitally since I bought it.
Jeez.
There's a couple of key scores missing from it, like the main title. Main title was a good theme.
That was a great.
Yeah.
That's not in the soundtrack?
It's not in there. No, it's not. Like I saw a meme on it a couple of weeks ago. It's like soundtrack missing main title, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
No
and
way.
I'm like, wow, that's actually true.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, cool. Don't even complete the soundtrack. It's not even the complete sound. You can't call it a complete soundtrack and
In
not
disc
include the main
2.
title.
In disc 2.
Yeah. But Godzilla's theme, I really don't like. It fits for Mechagodzilla. I will give it that. But Godzilla, it just feels out. I told this to Alex when I first saw it. It basically feels like an insert kaiju theme here. I could have made this theme in a day. Like, if anybody,
the whole time I was thinking Vinnie would mop the floor with his. You know?
I legit got pissed. I shouldn't be pissed though, because I do like Junkie XL. His theme in Mad Max and Batman vs Superman were awesome. I just don't understand what went. I don't know, because it felt like a knockoff Godzilla theme, and like if anybody who has the soundtrack, just alter the pitch of that theme and make it sound like Godzilla's original theme or the classic Godzilla theme from the previous movie. You can change the pitch and it sounds almost exactly like it. Like I don't know, but it did have its moments. But overall, it just he definitely got upstaged by Bear McCreary and Alexander Desplat.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like I might have maybe liked the soundtrack more if they didn't previously score the previous films, maybe. But it's just it's not bringing me into the film that much now.
I have a couple words.
Yeah.
I think this is the only Godzilla movie I can think of where the score isn't a highlight.
Wow.
Usually, like, even if a movie's dog shit, there's always like people are like, oh, but hey, the score is nice. You know, like that's the thing they usually point to. Like
Godzilla's Revenge.
Godzilla's Revenge.
Yeah.
Like there's always key takeaways, but with this, it's just Vinnie nailed it on the head. It feels like an insert song. You know, like somebody just trolled through the YouTube royalty-free copyright music and put that into the background. I think, and I'm gonna steal this from Jake, but Jake from Kaiju Legends, I think he tweeted this out when they first released the soundtrack for Godzilla, and he quote tweeted it, and it was like a knockoff Star Wars theme. That's it was supposed. It's like the kind of theme they use when they're trying to impersonate Star Wars without getting too Star Warsy.
Oh,
like
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. Was that with it?
Yeah.
It might have been it, but it just felt like as close as you could get but not hitting that note. You know, it's like while feeling completely different. And I think that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a weird knockoff of it. It feels like it failed trying to do what Alexander Desplat succeeded at, which was trying to like make an original theme that feels like the original Godzilla theme.
That feels it would fit a film. Yeah,
it would fit a Godzilla film.
Yeah.
I listened to it the first time and I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind this. In the theater, I liked it because it was just a theater experience. But upon re-listening to it, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see how this could sound like some cheap Godzilla theme, like knockoff. Someone just altered the pitch a bit and made it sound more evil to, give the more bad guy Goji vibe. But yeah, I feel like Kong's theme outshined it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because it was more.
I can't immediately remember his theme, but I just remember not cringing whenever music.
It's the flute part of it. I remember
the flute part. I remember that.
Yeah, Nico, what do you think?
You know what? Not worth asking me how I thought the
All right.
Because it's super forgettable. Like I'm not calling
Forgettable.
this. I'm not,
Best
yeah,
way you
it's
could have said it.
It's
Yeah,
forgettable.
that's
It's way
forgettable.
too It's forgettable. I'm not. I have listened to it, but you think I remember what what I remember what the songs go. I remember singing Godzilla theme, Kong theme. Don't even know what they remember what they sound like. In movie, don't even remember all the soundtrack. So it's extremely forgettable. Yeah, we'll keep it at that. It's extremely forgettable, and I didn't.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm in the minority because I actually didn't mind it that much.
How dare you?
I'm gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. The way when I first heard the soundtrack, when I first heard Godzilla's theme, I looked at it. I immediately thought of Godzilla versus Hedorah's theme with Godzilla because it had that trying to take what Akira Fukube did, but you like take it and you kind of twist it and you guys remember the Hedorah's theme. It's like more of that drunk sounding theme of Godzilla. That's what I kind of thought of it with this, and I do agree with it's like kind of insert monster theme here, but it's still, to me, if it was, you just had me hear the music in like just a vacuum of a room and you said like this was Godzilla's theme, I would be like, okay, I'd buy it. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds ferocious, that sounds intimidating, okay. In terms of watching the soundtrack with the movie and the visuals, I thought it was fine. I mean, I really to me the music did its job. Yeah, the music did its job into making me feel the emotions of what they wanted me to feel on like when the fight scenes were happening. Like I said in the first encounter, that music there, I mean, I can't remember the theme there, the title, of course, but I mean the music at that part, it made me feel like intense. Like I was like, ooh, like what's gonna happen? And I don't remember much of Kong's theme, obviously, but I just feel like it is a little bit of forgettable in a way where I can't remember like the key parts. I will like Alexander's music for 2014 is like hands down, I think, just on par with Bear McCready because he gave that movie like a character, like a feel.
It gave it so much identity.
Yeah, and identity.
Yeah.
That's a good
like
word for it. Yeah. And
dark,
obviously
realistic feel.
yeah, and like obviously Bear McCready, I feel like he had an easier job though because it seemed like he was given the reins to be able to use a lot of themes that were already made for him. He just had to kind of remix things. So in terms of this composer, I feel like he kind of had a lot to live up to, of course, because Bear McCready was like up here, and he had to be like, well, I'm not going to try and replicate that, so I'm going to try and do my own thing. And I think that's really what his motivation was. Like, I'm just going to do my own thing. I know it might not be what people want it to be, but that's just kind of how I look at it. But to me, I thought it was fine. I didn't really have an issue with it, and I also have the physical CD, and yeah, so I think it was fun. So, okay, we're running out of time here, so we got to kind of quickly go through the next parts here. But I want to talk about the obviously Mechagodzilla. This freaking part of the film. Well, Nico, let's start with you. What do you think of Mechagodzilla?
I don't want to hear the disrespect about Mechagodzilla. Boring. He sucks as he's bland. No, I hated this design. It doesn't work. I hated Mechagodzilla in the movie. Yes, I get like, we'll throw him in there. We have him. Why not? I don't like him. I just told it doesn't work.
No, I don't want him.
I don't want him.
I hate it. I hated him in the film. I thought he looked terrible. Me personally, I thought he sucked.
He doesn't look as bad though as the City on the Edge of Battle Mechagodzilla though.
Apparently his design was inspired by like the beige Transformers.
Right.
Yes,
I could see that a little bit. Yeah.
No.
Especially Grimlock.
I hated it. It looks so stupid. He's kind of like. That's what it was. I hated it. I hated his design. I didn't like Mechagodzilla in this movie. Yes, I'm done.
Well, all right. You heard it from Nico here, guys. Sean, what did you think?
I thought all the scenes. I guess let me give a little credit first. I think that every scene he was in, the visuals were great. That's about it. I don't have much to say about Mechagodzilla other than, if you thought there was any shred of dignity left in this Monsterverse, it just went out the window.
Yeah, I
you
agree
know?
with that.
And
If you
that's
thought
about
there
it.
was left in this universe, it just got tossed out as soon as we got a giant robot Godzilla.
Yeah.
Which I want to say, it's not like they couldn't pull it. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen in cinema.
Yeah,
Like
You're right.
there's like 30 movies in the MCU, and crazier shit has happened in that. But
Yeah.
and if you threw a giant robot dinosaur in the MCU, no one would bat an eye, you know. But because it's so far removed from what the Monsterverse started as, and what it kind of was failing on along the way, it was never gonna work. And the biggest takeaway you can get from it is that it looked cool in motion, in visually. Like the design itself, I mean, it kind of looked like a playset kind of toy. It never really looked like a actual mech. It kind of looked like this is something I'd see in the clearance section at Toys R Us, and
which it is, although now it's
Yeah.
not because scalpers are. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but
Yeah,
that's a whole nother.
I don't want to
that's a
be
whole
too
nother-
rough because this is made by the same guy who did the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, which that design, I thought it slapped. You know, it was
I mean,
it was meh. Like if it was in a Godzilla movie, it would be meh. But I'm like, this feels so artsy, and I like it.
Very, yeah,
you know,
I'd say.
but
All right, Vinny.
Vinny, yeah.
Let's hear it.
I liked Mechagodzilla actually pretty much. I mean, the first time when I saw his light or the lights lit up and he was turning his head when he was under control of Kevin, I just instantly thought Terminator for a second because he's about to kill some shit. But yeah, I liked how he was physical a lot. Like he wasn't like just relying his weapons most of the time. He was really physical. He was manhandling Godzilla most of the time he was fighting him.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually on par and his Showa counterpart. Like he was just beating the hell out of Godzilla most of the time. Like he straight up curb stomped his head into a building. That was like God.
Yeah, he threw him into a building and went limp. Like God.
Yeah, like he was no joke in this film, and like I just wish there was a little bit more of him. Like I don't know, but yeah, I liked him. I sure his design could have been a little bit better, like not less like some of his past like features could have been made on
More
him, but I was
represented.
it was good. Like I enjoyed it.
Kyle, what'd you think?
I like him design wise. The only thing I don't like his hands. Well, why does he have those hands? I like the
claw machine hands.
Yeah.
The regular claws.
Yeah.
I like the look of his face with the eyes. The eyes that are red because all the other incarnations.
Yellow.
I think Kiryu had red eyes
When he went
for a few
berserk.
times.
Changed, yeah. When
Yeah,
turned,
he had the red eyes for a few times. The others are mainly just like orangish yellow, but I like this one where it's like just a blood red, and I like the shot where he comes out of Hong Kong in the daytime, and I think he does like a robot laugh or something, where he's like, ha, ha, ha. Like that pulled me out a bit because it's like, okay, now you're just making it cheesy just to be cheesy, but like as soon as he started manhandling Godzilla like a rag doll, I was like, okay, this Mechagodzilla isn't a joke. He's not playing around. He's just throwing them around. He's using his beam and his rockets and his weapons and his rocket boosters and going to town. When he gets taken over by Kevin, that's the part I didn't like, but that's more of a like plot thing. I don't like
that's
that.
yeah. Oh yeah, the whole soda and whatever.
I feel like that could be more I don't know what you would call it, clarification, because it's kind of just implied.
Actual purpose of this character. Yeah, that's
actual purpose.
I said it from day one when this film was announced and all that stuff, when they were saying, you know, that there might be another monster in it. Everyone was talking about Mechagodzilla because I think what Legendary wanted was what they wanted. They wanted the what do they call it? The Classic Five, the Legacy Five. They want Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla. All those guys who have been in every era of every Godzilla film, they wanted that. And I think they didn't care that what that would do to either this movie itself or just the implications of now having this like monster being controlled by an alien that was then controlled by humans with the skull of an alien, of a dead alien, and then whatever. So I don't like Mechagodzilla in this at all. I don't like the design. I don't like his. He just doesn't need to be in this movie. He doesn't. And what frustrates me the most, and I remember sitting in the theater, and well, this kind of we'll go on to one of the last topics we'll talk about. Is I remember sitting, my girlfriend was watching it with me, and as soon as Mechagodzilla was like turning on, and I looked at her and I was like, yeah, they're freaking doing it, aren't they? And she looks at me and she laughs because she knows why I'm about to get really pissed. And it's because, oh yeah, he's basically what Doomsday was in Batman versus Superman. A big villain that just pops out of nowhere while the two other guys are off fighting or whatever. And now the two guys have to team up to fight the bigger bad guy. And I was like, that is the only reason he's in this film, because the makers did not have the balls to actually kill off any of the characters in this film. They didn't have the balls to do it. And it frustrates me so much because you neutered the last part of this film. I like the last battle between it. I get it. It's cool to see Kong and Godzilla team up and fight Mechagodzilla, but I don't like that aspect, and I was so worried that they were gonna. What's funny enough, I've actually rewatched a lot of the DC movies, and I rewatched Batman versus Superman, and after watching this and then watching Batman versus Superman, I'm like, holy shit, there are a lot more comparisons than I thought there was, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing to be compared to Batman versus Superman. So, no, but Mechagodzilla in this film, he was such a shoo-in. I wanted to give me more reason for him to be in there. Like, he
felt like the oxygen destroyer equivalent
Yeah.
of what they did in King of the Monsters.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He just pops out of nowhere, and he's just no. I don't like him, and he's honestly my least favorite Mechagodzilla incarnation. Kiryu is still my number one favorite. And you're right, Nico. He actually does make the 1993 Godzilla actually, or the Mechagodzilla in that one, look actually good. So,
why does he have those hands?
No, so I don't like that. So with Mechagodzilla on that side, let's finish up with talking about like who actually won this fight. So this will be the last two topics we'll talk about, because like I said, we are running out of time. We got to get this over with. But the last two topics will be who won, and then also what are the predictions of after this film. Like what do we think the Monsterverse will be? So with who we thought won, Nico, who do you think won this fight?
Godzilla. Easily. We came here to see Godzilla versus Kong, not Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla.
Thank you.
Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla wins both times. Literally both times. Kong submits to Godzilla. Godzilla is standing over, foot over, screaming in his face, and Kong submits. Kong is literally practically dead. He's practically dead at this point. I hate it because my friends are saying, because they just want to annoy me and get me frustrated. First of all, there's no I in team. There's no I in team whatsoever. It goes with sports, everything. There's no I in team. Kong cannot beat Godzilla if they never fought against each other, and Kong never physically beat him. That does not work like that. Oh, another thing. So, Chris, I assume you're going to be editing this. Let me do one more thing. One more thing when we're at it. I'm going to make this extremely quick. So, if you're whoever's editing this, I want you to pull it up so people will understand this and what I'm talking about. So, what I'm going to do is pull up the NBA standings. Because I'm a sucker for basketball. I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for basketball. So, let's look at the Eastern Conference. So, the Nets beat the 76ers. The 76ers are number one in the West, and the Nets are number two. But the Detroit Pistons, who are dead last, the Eastern Conference. My bad. All right, so the Nets beat the Sixers. The second team beat the first team. But the Pistons also beat the Nets. So, therefore, the dead last team in the Eastern Conference is better than the first team in the Eastern Conference. That isn't how it works. That's not how it works. Godzilla won. It was very clear. One did fall. Maybe one didn't die, but one did fall. Godzilla won. I'm tired of it. I hate it. But don't say that. Don't say it with a ridiculous Mechagodzilla So what? The Pistons beat the 76, beat the Nets. That doesn't make them better than the 76ers at all. Talent-wise, they're not good. They're not good. No, Godzilla won, period. That's it. That's my argument. I'm done.
Fake news.
Sean, what do you think?
I didn't even know that there was a debate until I've heard, other people saying Kong won. I didn't think for a second that Godzilla lost until Nico, you brought it up with me when we both got done watching it, and you're like, so you're saying like your friends thought that, right? That Kong, because he saved God. I'm like, like, did I not watch the same movie they did? Did I not see Godzilla crush his chest? And like, he lost. He didn't die. Kong saved him, and this is coming from someone who wanted Kong to win, because I think that would be a so much more satisfying movie to just see Godzilla, who is so revered by Godzilla fans as undefeatable. See him lose in a very clever way to Kong would be so entertaining. So I was rooting for that. But did he win? No. I mean, it was so obvious who won. I'm giving it too much thought, like I actually care who won. I'm giving this a lot of emphasis because I think it's stupid that people care that they think that Godzilla won. Kong lost.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, here's a better way of putting it. I think the reason Kong, or people who wanted Kong to win, thought Kong won is because they saw him save Godzilla. And if you wanted Kong to win, you saw him as a winner. If you wanted Godzilla to win, you saw him as the winner. But as me, who just didn't really care about either and just thought it would be a better movie to see Kong win, like that, I still thought Godzilla won. But
yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Vinny, what do you think? Who do you think won?
Definitely Godzilla. He won multiple times. He would, if it wasn't for the humans in the first fight, he would have drowned. Second fight, Kong won that for second round. I'll give it to Kong. But when Godzilla just decided to throw his beam away and just completely destroyed Kong hand to hand, that was it for Kong. And Godzilla, like 5 minutes before that fight, he blasted a crater into the center of the earth. That could have been Kong's face when Godzilla was standing over him, just saying, "Sit the hell down. You ain't shit. This is me. Back off. I wasn't here for you. Get out of my way." But yeah, Godzilla definitely won that. Who knows? There could be another rematch later down the line, But yeah, Godzilla.
Okay, Kyle.
Godzilla by a landslide. I mean, yeah, Kong won round 2. I'll give him that. I like Kong. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Kong. But I'm Team Godzilla all the way. Since Godzilla's just been the more main monster I spent my my entire life with, really. But Godzilla would just like slaughtered Kong in round 3. Like, as Vinny said, he just threw away his beam and just decide, all right, screw it.
Gloves are coming off.
Come on, buddy. Like, he just started going on all four and just scratching up his chest. He stomps on the chest. You can hear Kong's ribs being crushed. Godzilla's like, "You ain't shit. Sit the down." Kong's like, "The f do you think you talking to?" Kong yells back in his face. Godzilla's like, "Okay, I'm impressed. You fought well." He kind of just gives him a head nod and he was like, "Fine. I'll spare you my heat beam. I'll leave you alone." He just kind of
I'll leave you to die a heart failure.
Yeah.
In an honorable way.
And then Kong tries to get up. I always envision him as saying, Where in the hell do you think you're going, buddy?" And he just
I didn't hear no bell.
I didn't hear no bell.
I didn't hear nothing, buddy. Where are you going?
Yeah.
And then he just falls down. He's like, "Okay, yeah, I lost. Kong was basically dead. Like, they had to charge his heart back up just to bring him to life." So it's like, yeah, Kong saved Godzilla, and he, I'll say, carried Godzilla in the final fight. But like, that's not Kong having the win. That's just Kong saving Godzilla. He just happened to save him.
Yeah.
Godzilla just won, like, easily.
So, I mean, am I the only one that was very unsatisfied by the ending of the fight.
I mean, I would have liked it if it was
Nico's muted. He's like-
Godzilla get up in the day. Uh, I think you're
Nico,
muted.
I think he's doing that on purpose
I
because
think
he
he's
knows
doing
he's
it on purpose.
yelling
yeah.
very loud. No,
I would have liked it if it was longer because you have Godzilla getting up in the daytime. He gets a roar. Kong grabs the axe. He's like, "I want a rematch." Then
Yeah.
Godzilla kind of just
Like
I don't know what he was trying to say there. Like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
expression
Mhm.
was kind of weird. But then Kong just he puts down his axe. Godzilla like yells like 2 times and he just walks away. I
It's
would have.
respect. It's
if they,
respect.
like-
It's respect.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
respect,
that's-
but I would have liked if it was more of like they both bowed down to each other, kind of in a way. But
Right.
me too.
It's
I'm not saying I totally disliked the way they handled it. I didn't really mind it. It was just kind of something like if it were a bit longer, then like yeah, I would have enjoyed it more.
no, the reason I say it was just unsatisfying to me was because once again, I really was disappointed that they didn't have the balls to actually kill off any of the characters. I wanted to see bloodshed. I guess I'm just violent hungry or something. I wanted to see someone die. Like and Mechagodzilla, I get it, he dies, whatever. To me, there's no definitive winner until someone hits the floor dead. And I get it. Kong or Godzilla slammed him down, and
you guys take
and
it easy. I'm out.
Godzilla like, oh, Nico's out.
Okay.
You know, smashing his
Okay.
chest in and all that stuff. I don't know what he's doing. I'm just waiting to see if he does anything. Anyways, but you know, and I get that Kong would have died from like heart failure or whatever, but I'm confused that this kind of Godzilla, right? We're talking about a Godzilla that sees a Muto fly towards him, smacks him with his tail, kills him instantly there, grabs the female Muto, rips her mouth open, blows breath down her mouth and kills her that way. Sees King Ghidorah, uses his atomic whatever, the repulsor thing, whatever, fries the crap out of him. He would have killed Rodan obviously if it wasn't for Mothra or whatever. So the fact that now, and supposedly he took out a lot of those Titans, I guess, allegedly, I don't know, whatever. But
I don't know yet.
to the movie, I'm taking it as he killed them. I'm not reading the novel, so I'm taking it as what the movie told me is that he took out the Titans. Okay, so he takes out all those people. Yet Kong, he has him right where he wants him, and he's like, submit. Okay, good. Ciao.
That was what I
Excuse
didn't get.
me?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
Why did he not just blow his face off? Why
Felt like
did
the Martha
Godzilla
scene without the words.
Yeah,
exactly?
definitely
And
Marvel.
oh my god, see, and that's the other thing too. When I was rewatching it, and I'm just like, yeah, there's the two characters. They're like, you know, one's on top of the other one. They're like, oh, and it was literally that's what that was. So I was very unsatisfied and a little bit confused with the whole them yelling at each other, and then like that was it. Like that was supposedly the end of the battle. And I thought, did I miss something? Was this it? Like, was that the part that the director said, yeah, that's what I mean by who won? And I don't get that. And also the fact that Kong, I did not like the fact that Kong was the one to take out Mechagodzilla. I was like, excuse me? He gets the glory? And so you're telling me that Godzilla gets his ass kicked, like he takes out Kong, and he gets his ass kicked by Mechagodzilla, and then Kong has to come and save him, and he doesn't even get to do the victory kill on him? Huh? You let the giant ape do it? What?
I think I cared so little about Mechagodzilla in this film that I didn't care who killed him.
Yeah.
Just throw
So
I
I
just wish they-
third monster to have them team up anyway. It's just
yeah,
like,
so I was not a fan of really how it played out with the team up and how they and who the winner was. And I understand, yeah, Nico's back. I understand that Godzilla was the victor. I do get that now after like, you know, kind of looking at the battles or like looking at the battle scene and on YouTube and the clips and stuff. I get that now, but I just think the fact that they were yelling at each other and then they're done, that was, to me, that's just not, I need more. Like at least in King Kong versus Godzilla the original, they both are like tackling each other and fall in the water, and then you kind of get an idea of like, oh, Kong kind of got out, so he kind of won technically, you know. But to me, it just was not enough. Like didn't care for that. So all right, now let's really quick fast fire round here. We like really quick with our responses. So what do we think is the future of the Monsterverse? Where do we think we're gonna go? Nico, go.
No.
All right, Sean.
I think the only future is maybe that anime that's being made for Kong Skull Island.
Mm.
And that's about it. What the only reason people went to see this movie is because of the title. And
Right,
that's
yeah.
it. All right. There's no other title. I can't think of another movie title name that would draw in as many audiences.
Yep.
So no, there's no future.
Okay, Vinny.
Yeah, if they do make another one or two, I hope it's separate movies. Godzilla, maybe do something with the Oxygen and Destroyer, maybe make Destroyer some, or do the Roswell thing. Like they mentioned, there was like an outpost in Roswell. They could do something with aliens, Gigan, or something like that. For Kong, they could do Kong Skull Island, but make it Kong Hollow Earth. Maybe introduce Gorosaurus, Baragon, Megalons. You know, Ceetopians were inside Earth anyway. There you go. Ancient civilizations, or find maybe his like a female Kong or something like that.
Kong Hollow Earth does actually
But
sound
that
like a
does sound
pretty
really
interesting
exciting. Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah.
Just something. I hope this is not the last movie to end it on.
Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like if they're gonna go further, they're probably gonna do a Kong. I'd call it Kong 3 because it's like Kong versus Godzilla, Kong Squall, but they're probably gonna do a inside the Hollow Earth. I feel I don't know how exactly the plot would go. I feel maybe Kong would find something in there like a ancient like civilization maybe or something. Although there was some plot a fan had online about something forcing what was it, Godzilla and Mothra to come down to help him or something. I don't know, but if they're gonna do more Kong, just have a solo film. Just have Kong have a solo, and maybe like Godzilla can have something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kong can have his Hollow Earth. Godzilla can like I don't know. I mean, we've already introduced the prospect of like aliens and all that, so you can throw in like Gigan or something. I don't know, but
Right.
Godzilla has a bit more ideas to him. I feel.
I think I'm okay with this being the last Monsterverse film. To be honest, I don't want to see a cinematic universe of this. From day one, I see MCU and I get it. Everyone wants to cash in on it. Everyone wants it. But there are problems with it. You basically make commercials for the next film, and I hate that. It's you don't give the film that you're working on enough time to actually be a good film on its own before you have to make another one. And then it's like this factory year after year. You make another one. I get the Monsterverse.
They tried to speed run this universe too.
Yes. And I get it. There was a lot more years in between development, but let's be honest, it was also delays, COVID, all that stuff. So really, if they wanted to, they probably would have made these films a lot more quicker if it wasn't for a lot of other like maybe logistical things happening in the world. But I'm okay with this being the last. I really don't want to see more of Godzilla in this kind of I'm done with the legendary Godzilla, to be honest. He's cool in some ways, but I want to see different things. I'm loving what Toho's been doing the last couple of years with Godzilla. I think being very risky with the character, doing different things. Like I get it, the anime was not successful, but at least they tried something new, something different. Give them credit for that at least. It wasn't just another, oh, Godzilla's here, we got to kill him. Oh, it's like no, they actually tried to. Well, yes, but at the same time they tried to they just tried something different and like with Shin Godzilla, like super different and then this I'm hoping that this anime I've only seen the first episode, but I'm waiting for the English subs to come out. But I'm hoping that will be something new too. So I'm looking forward to Toho doing something else with Godzilla, and I'm really okay with us Americans kind of being done with them. I think what we like to do is 2014 was great, but what we like to do is we love to just dumb it down. We love to just have it there, do what it needs to do to make money and all that stuff. But I think Toho, what they're more concerned about now is that they want to make sure that they can keep this franchise alive for 10 more years. Because if we keep on doing this, it's people, I don't know why people expect so many more films to come out in this series we're just going to hit another burnout. It's happened 3 times already in this franchise. Showa, run out of money 10 years later. Heisei, run out of money 10 years later. Millennium, really run out of money 10 years later. We're going to do the same thing with Monsterverse. We're going to hit this point where we're like, man, the box office money isn't working. People aren't really interested. And then we're going to hit another drought of 10 years for this franchise. So I think if Toho just does this thing where they're like, every so often couple of years, we get some really cool, unique Godzilla thing, whether it's a movie, a series, or an anime or whatever, I think that's how this franchise needs to go moving forward. I think doing year after year of a movie between America and Japan and doing all, I don't think it's sustainable forever. So I think that this is a great way to end it with a bang. Kong's has a happy ending. Godzilla has a happy ending. The humans have a happy ending. Everyone is happy in this movie at the end. Just stop. I think we're done. So I want to see what Toho will do later. And that's kind of my thought on it. So yeah. All right. I think that'll do it for this next episode. So we went a little bit over time than I wanted to, but that's fine. You know, we have more people here on the podcast, so obviously more voices wanted to get heard. So the next episode, Nico, let's give them a sneak peek of what we were going to talk about in the next episode.
So everyone knows about, how, in the Heisei era, maybe not everyone, but I feel like most people might know that Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 in the Heisei era was supposed to be the final film that ends all the Heisei films and goes off with a bang. But we all know the actual end is Godzilla vs. Destroyer. So me and Chris are on opposing ends here, and it's basically going to be a debate. Which film was the better ending? Was it Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, or was it Godzilla vs. Destroyer? Which was more fitting? Which was really the better ending?
Yep.
So.
And we're going to try and get a guest speaker for the next podcast. So, just once again, let us know in the comments what you guys want to see in the future podcast episodes, what topics we can talk about. Because now that we're done with King Kong or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever, we can move on to other different kind of topics and all that stuff. So so thank you guys so much for watching the next podcast. Once again, we don't have an audio version of this yet. I've been looking into some things potentially with Podbean. I think I actually found a way where we actually can post audio versions, but we will have to see, or something with SoundCloud. I don't know, we'll find out. But as for right now, you can watch it on YouTube. If you want an audio version, just download it as an MP3 player or an MP3 file, and then just have it on your phone that way. So that's it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.